What was RAM in your 1980s personal computer? Imagine sitting in front of a computer that looks like a giant box with a tiny screen, and wondering how it manages to run anything at all. That tiny amount of memory inside was the secret sauce that made these early machines tick. In the 1980s, RAM, or random access memory, was the short-term memory your computer used to hold data and programs while they were in use. It's what the processor quickly accessed to get work done. Early IBM personal computers, like the IBM 5150 introduced in 1981, came with just 64 kilobytes of RAM. That's enough to hold a few simple programs or documents at once. You could expand this by adding more memory chips to the motherboard, often up to 256 kilobytes. The IBM PC XT, launched in 1983, increased the base RAM to 128 kilobytes, and many users upgraded to 640 kilobytes, which was the limit for DOS systems at the time. It sounds tiny now, but back then it was a big deal. The Apple Roman II, one of the first popular personal computers, started with 4 kilobytes of RAM in 1977, but by the early 1980s, models had 48 or 64 kilobytes. Upgrading RAM was a common task, and many users added extra chips to improve performance. RAM was made of dynamic RAM chips, which stored data temporarily and needed regular refreshing to keep information intact. Static RAM was also used but was more expensive. The speed of RAM was limited by the technology, so computers often had controllers on the motherboard to manage memory refresh cycles. For software, RAM was a major bottleneck. Programs had to be small enough to fit into the available memory, so developers optimized their code carefully. Upgrading RAM was exciting because it meant better performance and the ability to run more complex programs. For example, the IBM AT in 1984 supported up to 16 megabytes of RAM, a huge jump from earlier models. But most home users stuck with less than 1 megabyte, which was enough for word processing, spreadsheets, and early games. So, in the 1980s, RAM was measured in kilobytes and sometimes low megabytes. It was installed as chips on the motherboard or in expansion cards. This small amount of memory powered the first wave of home computing, business applications, and the earliest PC games. It was a key part of what made these computers work and what made upgrading them so exciting. Without enough RAM, your computer would slow down or crash, so managing and upgrading memory was a big part of the personal computer experience back then.